friend Padme Grace. She is Padme Grace Wellness Coach over on Instagram and PadmeGrace.com. You make it easy to find you. I couldn't pull off just JimmyMoore.com. Actually, there's an opera singer when you go on his website, and it's like, ah! When you get on there, I'm like, that's not Jimmy Moore. Not this Jimmy Moore anyway. So, but Padme is here today. I was telling them a while ago, I met you because I put out this call. Hey, if you want to help me with my booth, you helped me when I was out in Washington State. I think at the NTA conference is where it was. And you were one of the wonderful volunteers to help me that weekend. So thank you again for all your support. But I was like, hey, let's get people on to have something interesting. And you're like, Jimmy, I'm into martial arts and I use it to kind of teach mental agility, mental acuity, strengthening the mind, which then helps strengthen the body. And I'm like, I love it. Let's get you on. You are one badass woman. So I was very happy to get you on here today. Third time for charm, Padme. You're here now.
Exactly. Yes. This is all new for me. So I really thank you for your patience and virtual hugs. Virtual hugs.
Yes, yes. We're good. Why don't you tell us your story, how you got interested in health? Because obviously you're into nutrition. You know about my work and keto. What's the story there?
Oh boy. Like many of us in the helping arts, we have a past and things that we have gone through, and that's why we continue to help others. Way back when I was little, I grew up one of 10 kids in my family.
Whoa.
I was picked on a lot. I was constant.
Where were you in
the youngest girl.
Oh, you're the youngest girl. Oh, yeah. Lucky you.
And there was a lot of space between me and the other girls, so we really didn't get along. Yeah. I have one real brother. All the rest are stepkids.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was picked on, bullied, always on a diet, really struggled a lot. Emotionally abused, some physical abuse went on. And from an early age, I got into self-help. Probably around 5th grade, I started reading up everything I could possibly find on self-help. And I realized that the people in my lives that were creating this environment for me were teaching me what not to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And I didn't really find any external like sports to, put my talents into. It was mainly survival until I became a wife and a mother, and my little kid, I'm looking for some sport for him to get into. And he wasn't a group sport kind of guy. Put him in basketball, put him in soccer. He's the kid who spins around and like picks flowers off the grass. And I'd always driven past a martial arts school. And being from the 80s, I really enjoyed Karate Kid, and
Namaste.
and Star
Wax.
Wars.
Wax.
Exactly. And the whole spiritual side of things of healing was very interesting to me. And so I got him involved in martial arts, and then I shortly followed after that. And being an incredibly shy and, a person who doesn't really get out around people, I was so shy growing up, I wouldn't even order pizza because I didn't know the guy on the other side of the phone.
Wow.
I would have other people do that for me.
That's borderline agoraphobia there. That's pretty intense.
Very much so. And so my husband at the time did a lot of those things for me. But once I started training in the martial arts, all of a sudden I realized I can be good at something. I can take compliments, and I grew through that and became more confident and had some successes in that area. And that's why I kind of like to give it, pay it forward to the students that I have today. Yeah.
I love it. And look, I met you in person, and you're a wonderful human being. And I never would have known that asked about you. And so good for you kind of latching on, but you not only took to it, you now teach it now. And you were telling me notes that you have students that are as young as age 4 all the way to 74. So you've got this wide range of students that are just anxious benefits. And a lot of people that go into martial arts, I'm sure, for the physical health benefits, for the training, kind of getting fit. and they're not really thinking about it's going to impact their brain health and their mental health. How do you teach that to them? That, okay, I know you think this is physical, but most of the work is going to be right here.
Yes. That really comes from the type of students that are gravitated toward the martial arts, or the type of students that remain in the martial arts. So because I have a varied range of ages of students, usually the little kids, the parents want them to get their energies out.
Yes.
Or they're hyperactive,
Yes.
or they're getting in trouble at school, that type of thing. Whereas the adults side of the population, it is more of the physical fitness, or, that's something cool I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they're more of the mental side of things.
Yeah.
And so when I first started teaching, I realized that I wasn't just teaching punching and kicking. People would come to me as a coach before I knew what a life coach was, kind of like your barber or your bartender, right, that type of thing. And then I realized, oh, you can get paid for doing this. There's actually a thing called a life coach. And I began coaching shortly afterwards. And so every person is unique, a special snowflake. And they'll all come into the martial arts with different things, but they're really wanting the whole package, and they don't realize that yet. And
Yes.
so as life goes on, they're reaching out to me for, like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Well, let's look into that. Or, oh, I'm having this relationship issue. Let's look into that. And so my ability as a coach grew through the many years. I've been doing it for over 25 years. And being able to reach the different students in different ways is great. So I'll get individual people who are coming up to me, but I feel like the biggest impact comes from our mat chats. It's where we all get together as a group and have kind of a led discussion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, for instance, I'll have a discussion over anxious versus anxiety. Like, what's the difference between, are you anxious or are you having anxiety? Is it something that you need to be treated with, or is it something that you need to realize what's behind that? Where is it actually coming from? And so instead of me being up there and preaching, which sensei, so I'm a sensei means one who's gone before. So I really think of myself not so much as an instructor, but as a guide along their journey.
Yeah.
And so we'll bring up a discussion like that, and everybody gets involved in the discussion. And so it's different than somebody saying, you should do this,
right,
or to dismiss their feelings.
Right.
That thing. And when you realize that other people have similar issues, this is how they've dealt with them, this is where they grew, then you go, oh, this isn't, I can get through this. And these are some great examples of people. I'll have people in class who are 7, and then people are in class who are 50, and they'll look up to other 7-year-olds having the same thing, but then they'll also look to the 50-year-olds because they have more wisdom, instead of just being a group of 7-year-olds.
I love that. Like, literally, I related a lot to adults when I was a kid because I kind of thought a little older, and I guess the intelligence part comes into play as well. If you have a smart kid, relates better. And so it is fascinating. We kind of put ourselves in these boxes that, well, if you're this age group, so therefore you should be with these other people in your same age group. I think you get robbed of so much wisdom that you could learn. My best friend, by the way, is 20 years younger than me. And she and I get along great. She learns things from me. I learn things from her. And I love that kind of mix. But society likes to put us in the boxes of our age categories. And I, quite frankly, don't relate a lot to a lot of people my age.
You're definitely a special human being, Jimmy. Well, one of the things that I love about teaching the little guys is seeing their confidence grow. So just like it happened with me, I've had a 5-year-old who was completely nervous about starting classes. Who would watch classes for 2 weeks before actually stepping onto the mat. And then all of a sudden they're in charge of the class. And they're the one who's telling the new student, this is how it happens. This is how, oh, I remember that. I was scared too. And it took me a while to come onto the mat. In fact, one of my high-level teenagers, he started off as that student. He actually cried when I asked if he wanted to lead our warm-ups. And then the next test, he volunteered to lead the warm-ups. And it just gave me so much joy in my heart to see his growth, and made him feel awesome too.
Well, and on an individual level, you mentioned earlier that you were trying to find kind of organized sports through basketball, soccer for your kid, and that didn't really resonate. But with martial arts, this is something, it's on you. It's like you're having to muster up the motivation, muster up the energy, all the everything. It's kind of on you. And then once you're there, it kind of becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of whatever your mindset is. So if you go in with that scared mindset, you're going to be scared. If you go in with a confident, I can do this, I can lead, don't be surprised when you lead and you do well.
Exactly. Yes, the martial arts is a very much an individual sport, if you can call it a sport. It is you versus you the day before.
Yep.
And so that's very encouraging to the students who think they want to come onto the floor and tomorrow be a black belt, you know, whatever black belt means to them.
Right.
Where really it is, are you going to do that 1% more than you did last time? Then you're going to get to your goals. So baby steps.
And 1% is not much. I like the whole concept of 1% better each day. And it's subjective, of course, you know, like literally 1%. Some days you might get 5%, and then other days you might be like, it's all I can do for 0.01%, but better than I was yesterday. And you put in the effort. And I love that. The discipline that you get from martial arts, and I took some martial arts classes when I was younger, got out of the habit of it. I think I only got to just one of the basic belts. But I remember kind of the structure of it. And like in our world today, kids and adults alike need some structure, need some mental organization. I think we're just all discombobulated a lot, and our brains just go haywire. And that's where this martial arts kind of discipline can help bring that back under control again and say, you are the one in control of that noggin.
Absolutely. And even though it is an individual sport, we are a family.
Yes.
And so we have been there through all this craziness of the past, you know, nearly 2 years. We've been there as, you know, a solid foundation for a lot of these kids, because when we had to shut down, everything shut down.
Yes.
And we were only closed for about a month. I did home visits. I wanted to stay, you know, in contact with my students. We did videos, and we were very fortunate to be able to open up while the schools were still closed and while the sports were still shut down, because we're considered an educational facility. Yep. Instead of a gym. And it was so much a blessing for my students to be able to come in and see other people.
Yes.
To be around other people, because there was a lot of depression and anxiety coming off of a lot of my students.
Oh yeah.
And fear from what was, you know, surrounding them at the time. And so I feel like it really helped a lot of my students through this.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that you guys were back really quick because, yeah, a lot of kids, especially, I think I saw 1 in 4 teenagers attempted suicide last. When I read that stat, Padme, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it tells you how much we are meant to be social beings, how much we are meant to see faces and interact with people. And when you isolate people, they go a little crazy and they go a little dark in their mind. And so good for you guys, kind of heading off at least your clients in your business. You kept them from kind of going down that spiral. A lot of people spiraled over the last year.
Absolutely. Even my personal training clients and my wellness coaching clients who were shut in from a lot of their family and friends, they would come to me for help in, you know, chilling out and finding ways of finding those positivities in their lives and things that they can have gratitude towards, and really rebuilding their, you know, anxiety about coming back into the population.
What do you think it is that makes martial arts so, and I'm trying to think of the right words, it's not relaxing, but there is a relaxation element to it where there's kind of calm from within. Every great martial artist, from Bruce Lee to Chuck Norris to even Jackie Chan, you know, they all kind of come across as cool, calm, and collected while they're ready. They're at the ready. So what is it that martial arts makes that happen?
Mindfulness. Absolutely. When we come onto the mat, we bow. Okay. Bowing is a sign of respect, but it's also a way of emptying your mind so that it can be refilled. It's kind of the empty your cup thing that's going on. And when we do that, we're supposed to clear our mind so that we're ready. It's also a way of dropping off your baggage, your junk of the day. And whether you pick it back up again when you leave class or not, the cleaners will take care of it for you. You can just leave it there. When you're on the mat and you're trying to learn something or somebody is punching and kicking you, you can't really be thinking about anything else. You have to be in the moment. And so mindfulness is very important. And a lot of what we do is also breathing techniques.
Yes.
Yeah. And so in our bow, we're also breathing. That centers us. And when we're doing our forms, so kind of like Tai Chi, except a little bit more aggressive, we have various types of breathing. Because a lot of times in our day-to-day, we're chest breathers. And we don't have the different types of breath. This kind of forces you through practice to have your deep breaths, your slow breaths, your fast exhalations of your ki, spirit yell.
Do you ever do like a Wim Hof kind of thing?
Yes, definitely. I really enjoyed that. I went to a seminar and we did the ice baths. I'm not an ice bath a day type of person yet, but it was very enjoyable.
Yes.
For sure. And it wakes you up.
Yeah, I love the ice bath. I've got one of those big tanks on the way from Morozco Forge. So it's a 6-foot tank, and you know how tall I am. So I'm going to get in that bad boy to be like 34, 35 degrees. And like, it's amazing. And then breathing while you're in there, so many therapeutics. And I've actually been meditating while in my bathtub. I've got a 20-pound bag of ice that I pop in there, and I'll, get down in there, kind of get as comfortable as possible, submerged. And then I'll turn on a 10-minute guided meditation, which does a lot of deep breathing types of things. And it's life-changing. Like when you put the focus on the breath and you kind of focus inwardly and let all the outside noise do what it's going to do, but you focus inwardly, the outside can do whatever. You're just going to stay chill and you're going to stay calm, and you're going to know in the midst of adversity, you can make it through that.
Yes. Our forms that we do can be very complicated, or they can be very simple. And so you're using your body and your mind and your breathing all together. And so it creates that mind-body connection that a lot of people don't have. You're usually, like mentally learning something, or you're physically working out at the gym, but those two connections of having something kind of long to remember, but then also that breathing, it is moving meditation.
Yes.
And that's my favorite part, is moving meditation.
Keto can be hard. Tabulating, measuring, baking, taking 3 months to perfect one recipe, and to mixed reviews.
Did something die in here? Oh, I think it moved.
And by that point, you give up your diet, find a dark corner, and stuff yourself with sugar, carbs, and regret.
This, isn't what it looks like.
Well, this is where Keto Chow saves the day. The easiest, tastiest, ketoist meal replacement on the market.
It's like ice cream melted in my mouth.
Yes, but melted ice cream with all the protein, nutrients, vitamins, and electrolytes your body needs.
Oh, that's cool.
And with 3 starter kits, each with restaurant tips, keto food guides, and a ton of flavors to try, your taste buds and your waistline will thank you.
Thank you.
So grab your starter kit today at jimmylovesketochow.com.
It's so easy.
Keto Chow. Make keto easy.
All right, so I'm going to pick your brain a little bit of some things that have always been curious about martial arts for me. Why, when you do the punch or whatever, what does that do? What is the purpose?
There's a lot of purposes for it. It's called a ki. So it's a spirit yell. It's a way of centering all of your energy into a small point. It also stiffens your body in order to take impact. And so the time when you're most vulnerable to being hit or kicked is when you're attacking, because you're open. So you have to be tight when you're open, which is the backwards of yoga breathing. And so it's the complete opposite, or the yin yang to it. So that's what that yell is really for. Plus it's makes you feel so good.
I was going to say, that was always my favorite part when I was in karate, was when I got to go, ha, or whatever.
And the kia is something that grows with you too. Because I remember my first day on the mat, my sensei was trying to get me to do the yell.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, you feel silly. So my little guys would be like, Aya. And she said, imagine that your son's name was Aya, and he's running out into the street about ready to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to yell him? You know, yeah.
That was a good way to put it. Yeah, it's weird at first until you feel the exhilaration from it. And then you're like, I want to do that again.
Absolutely. And then my students need to be trained to do it correctly.
Yes.
And so just like we're top breathers, they'll start yelling from up here and become hoarse. Yeah, where it really should come deep down from, you know, your diaphragm. No.
That is a self-correcting thing very quickly.
Very much so. So a lot of us with the mindfulness is visualization.
Yes.
And so even in Qigong that I teach, which is kind of like Tai Chi, under the umbrella of Tai Chi is under the umbrella of Qigong, is visualizing health and healing. And so that's something where you can take your mind and visualize your body actually getting stronger or better or feeling more calm, for sure. And just like, you know, top athletes will visualize their perfect game or their perfect, you know.
Yeah, when like basketball players, they see the ball go in the hoop before they shoot it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm always telling my students, you know, speak what you want, not what you don't want. And so it's very common for new students to be on the mat saying, oh, this is hard. You know, I can't do it. Like, that's not allowed in my dojo. You know, so they'll hear me say 100 times, you know, speak what you want, speak what you want, speak what you want. No.
Yeah, manifestation is a real thing. And I've actually gotten into that myself in the past year with all the everything happening. It's like, all right, I'm tired of the world coming to me. I want to go to the world and say, this is how it's going to be. This, and like manifest things. And by golly, a lot of them have happened and a lot of them are in the process of happening. It's amazing how powerful that is.
Absolutely. So I really liked just to switch it up a little bit. I really liked your challenge for everybody. That's really perfect. And when you first said about your 100-day challenge, I was like, oh, my birthday's in February. I'm kind of doing the same thing this year as well. Yep. And so I've got a lot of hacks that I'm continuing to use. And so I really, you know, thank you for helping many, many people along their journeys to getting, you know, whatever their goals are, for sure.
It's fun. Like she's referring to my sabbatical to 50, you guys. And so I'm on this 100-day journey. And as of today, it's 52. But on day 50, I was like, all right, guys, it's your turn. You've watched me for a long time. Now it's your turn to kind of challenge yourself. Because honestly, martial arts is just about challenging yourself to do something that you didn't think you were capable of. And then when you do the thing that you don't think you're capable of, Padme, that does amazing things for this.
Yes, and that's changed so many of my students, for sure. And it's those baby steps. So you started as a white belt, and all of a sudden, if you don't quit, you know, attitude and effort, you're ready for your black belt test, and you look back and, you know, how did I get here? Oh, I just didn't quit, and I had the right attitude, because attitude is much more than aptitude. Students that come in who, oh, I've got this, they're physically, you know, excellent and can, you know, drop down and do 100 push-ups right away, they're the ones that will probably get bored and they'll quit. Whereas people who need that challenge, so the shyer people, the people who are struggling with maybe a social, you know, distortion or emotional difficulties or behavioral difficulties, they're the ones that need that little challenge and need somebody who's there to uplift them, there to let them know that you are on the path. You know, there's process.
Yeah, going back to the Karate Kid, that's what the main character was all about. Was he was the kid that really didn't fit in and needed to kind of have purpose, and then he found a sensei that could help him find that purpose through very unorthodox ways. I mean, that's why that movie resonated so much, is people could see themselves. Danny was that the character's name in Danny, and so yeah, it's amazing how something like that can like inspire someone like yourself of, oh, I remembered Karate Kid as a kid and then I wanted to do it, and now you can't get enough of it.
I'm completely surprised at the person that I am today. I mean, I'm like happily surprised, and it is my passion, is my reason for being, is to help others.
Yes.
And so that is my everyday. And I instill that in my other students as well. So I don't only have the really shy, unsporty type kids, but I'll also have some that are a little bit more pressured to succeed by their parents.
Yes.
So they have that high anxiety of doing really well. And those are the ones that I get to guide into helping others. And so they're the perfect ones who are like, yeah, I'm ready to help because I got this, and then they get to help that next person. And then I'll take the other side, the shy people, and have them help the person. And so that socialization of being a helper, being an assistant, being a model for the next student helps people to rise above.
You know what I love about the fact that you have this legion of students? You're kind of a tiny woman. I remember I'm 6'3", so I like towered up you. Like, give you a hug, and I felt like I enveloped you, not knowing you could probably kill me at that time. I didn't realize you were into martial arts at the time. But you see students come in and they're, oh, I'm too tiny, I'm too weak, and you're able to say, hey, look, I'm tiny, but I'm strong, and I'm able to be strong, not just physically, but mentally. And if you're strong from within, it doesn't matter how small you are, how diminished you think your abilities are, you're strong too. And like, I love that. I'm sure that relates to a lot of your students.
Yes. Self-efficacy is a big deal in the martial arts. And so the belief that you can actually accomplish something. And it's my job to give them those little, I challenge you to do this. I never say, okay, we're going to do this really tough thing. It's always going to be a challenge. Who's ready for a challenge? And they might be like, I'm like, can you do 5? Can you do 6? Whatever the deal is. And, or get them in front of our class to show something. I mean, that could be the challenge. Little growth day by day, and praise them for it.
Yeah, I love that. And the reinforcement. And that goes back to the family aspect you were referring to earlier. I had a niece at one time who was into karate, and every time they'd go up in belt or they'd accomplish something, everybody would cheer, everybody was encouraging. And there's just something about camaraderie that fuels people. And so, yes, it's an individual sport, but that camaraderie is what makes the individual succeed. So really, is it individual at that point? I think it's group at that point, but not traditional like basketball.
Yeah.
Like
well, we
that.
all have common goals because we're all reaching for the same belt. We might have different reasons why we're there, but we're struggling doing the same thing. And that's why I love families that are training together.
Yes.
And so I have a big group of families. My son trained with me. And it's very important for your kids to see you struggle, fail, succeed at the same thing they're trying to do. Yeah. It's very bonding.
Ha ha, you can't do it either, Dad.
Yeah, right?
That's what I would have done as a kid if my dad was along for the ride. So.
Well, then I also have to have the parents realize they're not 12 anymore.
No.
Don't be your 50-year-old self thinking that you're a 12-year-old trying to do that.
Yeah. I'm turning 50 here in a couple months, and I'm like, I can already notice some physical limitations that I can't do anymore. But then, like, I'm stronger mentally, so I can like overcome the challenge of that. So whereas the kids might be physically able, but then they're not mentally strong enough. So there's the yin and yang. Yes.
My older students, definitely I have to pull them a little bit more to the 80%, only do 80%. And then you'll be, nice and strong. If you're not feeling it, don't ego yourself. We are a non-ego school. You can't do that. You're going to break things. You want to continue training for the rest of your life. You don't want to break yourself. And so you do you is what I'm always saying to my adults. Oh, I'm feeling this. You do you. Oh, you need a stretch here. Let's stretch. We want to push you that 1%. We don't need 100%.
Well, then you have those personality types that are like, go, 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 go. And then you've got other ones that are more passive. So like, you've got to read the room and kind of determine, okay, what kind of personality are we working with here? Are they somebody that if I tell them to lift 5 things, they're going to try to do 50 things? Okay, That's the person I need to tame down. And then another person, maybe not, would only do one. And then, oh no, I need five. I need at least five. Do five, please do five. And yeah, so that's got to be a fun little challenge for you.
Well, the process is built in to the martial arts. And so as a white belt, we're not going to challenge you as much as upper level belts. And so the amount that's required for white belts is small. And then the next belt adds on, and the next belt adds on. And that's how you become much stronger. Is I'm not going to tell a white belt they need to fix 20 things. I'm going to give them one thing to focus on. And then at the next belt, they're going to add on. They're going to perfect that one thing, add a new thing, and so on and so forth. To when you're going for your black belt, I'm going to give you every single critique there is out there because you're ready for it. You've been critiqued, slowly, more and more along the way. And that's when black belts are formed, not from black belt, but from white belt.
Well,
So
and look, that's the prestige, is getting that to that black belt. And once you're there, you can't rest on the laurels of your past success. You kind of need to say, okay, I'm going to push myself to show and I guess prove my worthiness of that black belt.
Mm-hmm. And along the way, they also give back. And so at each belt level, I request a little bit more of being a model for the students that are coming behind them, which makes, of course, you feel really good. It makes you want to do right.
Yes.
And we don't only talk about this being inside of the school. You take all of this outside the school. So if we're talking about gratitude, we're not just talking about gratitude inside of the dojo. It's like, what are you doing at school? What are you doing at home? Because all the life lessons must go outside the walls.
Look, otherwise, what's the point? Like, it's cool to have it in the class, but if you can't take those lessons outside the class and apply them in your life, it is what I like about organized sports, because a lot of kids that get involved, especially in organized sports, tend to kind of fall into life a little better. You have kind of a natural network of people within that sphere of that organized sport. And then those connections stay into, say, college, and then move on into adulthood. And so it's very beneficial. But the same with what you're doing, you've got all those connections, and yeah, you would hope it would go well beyond the martial arts aspect of it. The mental health changes, the mindset changes, those are things that ultimately you hope they hold on to that for life.
Absolutely. And a lot of the students don't realize they are an athlete.
Yeah.
I consider them an athlete.
Yes.
Even though some of them would be like, oh, I'll never do sports. What's this that you're doing right now? You're actually doing probably the hardest sport because it's year round. The things that are expected of you. There's no game.
Yes.
There are tournaments that you can go to, but you're off the bench every class. You're always in the game.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
It's not about win-losses. It's not about records. It's not about even, how many years can I do this before I retire? No, you do it for the rest of your life. So it is way different in that aspect. And if it's something that you have to ultimately use in self-defense someday, you got that tool in the toolbox, but you hope you never have to use it. It's kind of like owning a gun. You've got it to protect yourself, but you hope you never have to fire it.
And that's the dichotomy of martial arts is, yes, I'm teaching punching and kicking and self-defense, but the reason why you tend to not use it is because you grow in confidence. So you
Yeah.
become the person that some bad guy is not going to pick
Yeah.
on.
I just watched a viral video on I think it was on Instagram or YouTube, where this guy, he was an ex-Marine, and he was in a store buying his stuff, and these two kids came in with masks on and guns, and that Marine just quickly went, and he just grabbed the gun out of their hands and started punching them, and they ran off. Like, that quick thinking, because of his Marine background, he was not scared. He's just like, all right, I know what to do. Boom. You know, a lot of your students, same thing. All right, I'm in this situation. I know what to do. Boom. You just act. You don't really think.
Exactly. I was in a store that was being robbed. There were two guys. One guy took a person that worked at the store in another part of the store and broke something, while his friend reached behind the counter and grabbed a whole bunch of cash. And I was right there. And just my confidence of like, I will take that. He handed it to me and they ran off.
Wow. So you told, and he's obviously much taller than you because you're a little tiny thing, but you were like, I will take that. And he just gave it over. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You are more badass than I thought you were, Padme.
I've been in a few of those situations. Yes.
Go dig, 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 dig.
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
good.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. Jimmy Moore's heartbeat would have went dig, 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 dig.
Yes. I feel that one of the things that makes my school a little different than a lot of the ones that I've been in, because I have trained in a lot of different martial arts schools, is we go outside in our mat chats, not outside, but we go outside of what's normally taught in mat chats.
Yeah.
Because the usual things are respect and perseverance and self-discipline and all of the, Bushido code that the martial arts have. And we talk about, because you are an athlete, you are in training, that your sleep is very important, that your nutrition is very important, that your mindset, obviously having a positive mindset is incredibly important, but also your emotional things, your emotional well-being.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to train somebody who's going to blow up, right? That can be very dangerous. And so we need to realize where our thoughts come from. Are our thoughts true? Well, they usually come from our emotions.
Yeah.
Are emotions bad? No. But we want to be able to get back to, even keel pretty quickly. We want to have resilience. And so when we feel, the rush of anger or frustration or, all the bad stuff, we want to be able to realize that, like, is this true? Find ways of coming down from it. And so in our mat chats, we'll have people have different things like, I'm going to hug my teddy bear, or I'm going to give myself a timeout. I'm going to do some breathing. I'm going to go look for the color green. I'm going to blow bubbles. That's a good one. Yeah. I tell my if like the little guys aren't sleeping very well, I have their parents have them blow bubbles in their bath because they're doing breathing techniques without knowing it.
Yes, that's true. That's really true. So I love that you incorporate all of the kind of holistic health types of things, from nutrition to sleep to stress management, obviously getting exercise with the martial arts. How do you broach that subject with some of the ones that would get better brain health, mental health benefits if they weren't eating the Doritos they came into your dojo with? Like, that noticeable on your part?
Yes. Usually I can tell their energy when they're coming in.
Yes.
And a lot of times they'll tell me what they ate, because when we're doing warm-ups, they'll be like, oh, my stomach, I just ate.
Yes.
And then we'll deal with that for sure. A lot of people come in with low energy sometimes. Yeah. Especially around right now, our weather's changing here in Washington State. It's getting rainier and colder. And so there's that little lull that everybody gets. And when the energy is really low, that's when we turn the energy up, because that, motion,
right,
being more physical, creates more of a happy place in your mind, for sure. And it brings on your happy emotions to be able to, leave the dojo feeling so much better. And so I have to be the gauge of my students. So if they're dragging from from eating too much before coming to class, we're definitely having that discussion. And I do go deep in the weeds on it. You know, I explain the physiology behind what's going on in your body. You know, if you're going in for a test at school, you know, you want to be fueled properly. You want to do a whole bunch of jumping jacks before you go in for your test, because it energizes your system. You're breathing better. You can think better. It's all connected. And so really just gauging the energies of my students kind of determines what we're going to do and what we're going to talk about.
And I love that it's a totality of all the things. It's not going to karate class and just going through the motions of the physicality. You incorporate the mindset, you incorporate kind of lifestyle factors and nutrition along with the physical. And then, you know, working around pain, working around challenges of the 50-year-old trying to be 20 again. It's a lot what you do. And so mad respect for being in the martial arts field, teaching it the way that you do, teaching it in a way, giving people confidence to be, quite frankly, be who they are without any inhibitions of, I am not confident enough, I'm not worthy enough. You kind of teach them these principles of actually tapping in to the person they've been all along.
Yes. And every martial arts school will have a different culture around it. And so I encourage people, if they are interested in trying out the martial arts, check out a few schools and see if you got the right vibe with the instructor, with the students, because we are a tribe. And it's really important for us to feel safe, you know,
Yes.
with our group, to feel secure. And I believe that is why my students will open up to me and talk to me about things, and we're able to really get deep into these discussions because they feel safe. Well, I mean, one of my students, his father passed away. His father was going through a lot of health challenges. His mom was going through a lot of health challenges, and his father passed away. He came to class the next day, and it was like shocking. And we were his family away from all of what was going on. And so he could talk to us about, you know, the stresses he was dealing with and the pressures and those type of things. And a lot of parents don't realize that kids really need somebody to talk to.
Yes.
They need
Especially the ostracized kids that might be getting bullied at school, but don't have anybody to talk to about it because, number one, it's embarrassing. But then, like, they don't have a loving environment at home that opens up that conversation. You might be the only loving adult in their life that day.
Exactly. And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. Well, you do it well. Where are you located, by the way? Is it in Seattle? Where are you at?
Long Beach, Washington.
Oh, okay. Long Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're at the southwestern point of Washington State.
Okay.
Kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Hey, that's all right. We need people to be in the middle of nowhere. For all the people that are pushed together in the big cities, it's nice to be in the middle of nowhere. So.
Yes. Well, I feel very blessed to be here, very blessed to have my students. I love what I do, and I want to keep doing it for a really long time. So that's why I'm doing everything I can this year, because I'm going to be 50 in February, so that my body is going to be in great shape. I have a knee issue, and I just work with that. Exactly.
Yeah, you and I are the same age. I'm a couple months older than you, but you look a whole lot better than I'm 50. So.
Oh, thank you. Great attitudes. Well, I'm in my hot tub every day, on my vibration plate every day. I've got my Juve, you know, doing everything right.
Yes, I think I'm going to do hot tub, vibration plate, ice therapy, red light therapy, meditation, grounding, and a partridge in a pear tree for the rest of my life. So guys, that's again Padme Grace. Go check her out over on Instagram, Padme Grace Wellness Coach. That's spelled PADMEGRACE, Wellness Coach. And then she's PadmeGrace.com. And this was a delightful conversation. I knew it would be. We've been longtime friends, so I'm glad we were able to get you on my show today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much.
Tired of playing the mask game? Me too. That's why I wanted to tell you about the Unmask. This is a breathable, completely breathable It covers. You can't even see that it's breathable, but it's breathable. Whether you're going on a plane, having to go into a store and wearing this thing, playthemaskgame.com is how you can get this mask. They come in all kinds of colors and everything. In fact, right there, you can see right through it what it is, but when you're wearing it, it does not look like it's anything different, but it's breathable, baby. Playthemaskgame.com.